presidents when I was district governor. I've served on as a co-president because I know when Charles was president of this club, I was president of the Provo Club. And, my GSE leader for the year I was district governor was Scott Leckman. And I just have to tell you, it's exciting to have people who know you that well, and they actually will still show up when you speak. So I think I'm on a roll here. I'm also taking notes of other people who are members of this club that I know really well who didn't show up. So I'm sure that means something else totally, entirely different. But anyway, it is a great privilege to be here. Just a quick thing on my bio. I grew up in Japan. My whole childhood was spent there. I had actually spent more time in Japan than I had in the United States when I came back to go to college. I met my wife in college. My first pastorate was in Jackson Hole, and one correction, I was not a police officer. It was far more, what's the word I want to use here, depressing than that. I was actually a deputy coroner in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and did that for almost 5 years. And over the years, pastored churches. What brought me actually to Utah was to pastor a church. A little over a year ago, Marlis and I retired from pastoring. And I now work with this consulting company that we have. And so we've been doing a lot of trainings and involved in things like that, both corporately, and then I also do trainings for officers and police departments. Just wrote a book, real hot seller. I'm sure all of you want to run out and get a copy of it. It's death notifications. It's a real hot topic for a lot of people to purchase. But it's actually designed for our law enforcement and first responders. Been heavily involved in Utah County for the last few months with all that we've had down there, both with the officer-involved shooting and then the shooting and suicide. And so I do a lot of stress management with him. Marlis and I had the great privilege this last week to host Colonel Bill Coltrip. Colonel Coltrip is actually the one who was responsible for capturing Saddam Hussein. An incredible story. He was awarded the Freedom Award at the Gala for the Freedom Festival, and we had the chance to have he and his wife Sherry in our home. The reason I bring them up is that at each one of your tables and around your necks is a thing that's related to Teacher CEU Toolbox. And I'll bring some of this out in my presentation today. But Sherry Coltrip actually owns Teacher's CEU Toolbox. I've been helping her with some different things. They provide online training for teachers so they can go out and get their CEUs. Currently, those can come through either the University of UNLV or Utah Valley University, and you actually get CEU credit from those universities to do it. But the big exciting thing is we have partnered with a Rotarian friend of mine who is one of the premier experts on suicide prevention in the country, and they have a suicide prevention course that is designed for teachers, but anybody can take it. And if you don't take it for credit, it's a lot less. But the really exciting part is that on that brochure, there's actually a code. And so if you take the course or you send anybody out there and they use that code, $2 from every class that people take, and not just suicide classes, but all of their courses, people use that code. $2 will come back to Rotary youth programs, not in the United States, but in this district. And so even if you get people outside, so it's kind of a fun way to partner, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and hopefully you'll hang on with me. Hopefully you've taken the test. I know some of you probably are like most people, you don't like to take tests, and so if you didn't take one, you can maybe go home and see where you come out on this towards the end. But let me start this morning by just telling you that I'd like to start a dialogue with you today. Just a dialogue. This is not starting a fight. Now you will notice that the cat did not touch him, he just went after it. And I've been in Rotary long enough to know that if you come in, shouting and screaming, everybody's got to change and everybody got to do something, you end up being the dog on the couch. And so that's not at all where I want to go today. But I hopefully will say some things today that will inspire you and help you to maybe think about Rotary a little bit differently. On July 1st, our new district governor, Mike Wells and Carlene, took office, and one of the things that I've had the privilege to do with them in preparation for their year has been to serve as the district trainer. And so as we began to meet together, one of the things that is really important to your district governor, and you'll hear this even when he comes to speak, is this idea that we light up Rotary as we inspire and empower our fellow Rotarians to reach their potential through service, fellowship, and fun. And one of the things that I want you to begin to think about Rotary is that if you're doing service, but you're not fellowshipping and you're not having fun doing it, you're doing it wrong. And if you're just having fun, but there's no fellowship and there's no service, you're doing it wrong. And if you're fellowshipping, but you're not having fun and not doing service, you're doing it wrong. Think of it in terms of this tension that has to always be there. So whatever you guys do, if you go up and you go to Red Butte Gardens, I would encourage you to think in terms of, is there going to be fellowship? Yes. That sounds to me like fun. I'm thinking maybe I ought to try to get in on that. But then you say, well, what does that have to do with service? Well, service is a broad term that there's the piece where we're actually out doing it, but there's also connecting and planning and dreaming and talking. And so when I get together with true Rotarians, it doesn't take long for us to start talking about all kinds of things and planning how we can make a difference in the world, and service becomes a part of that. And so I really want you to think about that in the long term as you do it. But I want you to go back and answer this question. When I was in Sydney, Australia just a few weeks ago, then President Ron Burton asked this question during one of his speeches, and it really struck me in a major way. He said, if you were to go out and join your Rotary Club today, would you pick your club? Now, he was speaking to a lot of people who've had a lot of contact in a lot of different Rotary settings, and that was why he was asking that question, because he knew we'd been exposed, most of us, to a lot of different clubs. Now, I've been a member of the Provo Rotary Club since 1991. And I don't share things publicly that I would not share with them. And when I came home, I sat down with our with you. The answer to that question is no. Of all the Rotary clubs I've experienced, of all the Rotarians I know, our club has moved to a place where we're just not having the fun we should be having. And it was like fresh air to him because he's excited, he's seeing new things. He started organizing the club in new ways, and he said, Dean, I need you to kind of help me move this forward. And I said, I'm on board. I'm not abandoning you, but I want to be honest with you. We're not having the kind of fun, and we're not doing the kind of service, and we're not having the fellowship that we once had. We don't have the diversity that we once had. And so I said, what I want to encourage you to do is to think outside the box. Because one of the things you will find about Rotary, and this is what keeps me coming back to it, and that is that no matter how bogged down I get in a club level, in a district level, or even in a zone level, there is always somewhere, someplace in the world that Rotary is doing something that quickly captivates my attention. So the question is, here's 20 answers that Richard King gave. And I'm just going to highlight a few of them and give you the list here. But one of the things that he said was, one of the reasons to join Rotary is because of friendship. I love this business development. I don't think we do enough with that. And I would encourage you to really think about that. How do we develop business? Rotarian to Rotarian, I will take you back to the beginning of Rotary. One of the ideas and concepts that Paul Harris had when we started Rotary was Rotarians doing business with each other. And so I encourage you. I will tell you in my business, I do consulting for businesses, potentially relocating or dealing with cross-cultural things. When I go into a foreign country, the first place I call is the Rotary International. My contact's there, and I said, look, I'm going into this country. who do we know in that country, and I start there. Why? Because they believe in the four-way test. I'm not saying they're all perfect, but what a place to start to know that I have people who believe in the four-way test, who are integrous, who believe in service above self, and that's where we go. So looking through this, these were just some of his reasons why we should join Rotary. Develop social skills, entertainment, family programs, developing out ethics, cultural awareness, all of these fall into place. But let me tell you something else that most of the time gets overlooked in Rotary. How many of you know about fellowships? A couple of hands. Somebody name a fellowship to me. What is a Rotary fellowship? Rotary history. There is a, I'm sorry, that one, you're going to have to really talk me into that one. But Rotary history is actually a fellowship. Wine fellowship. Yes, there is. There's also, this is exciting, beer fellowship. I didn't know that. I saw that one for the first time. Here is a list of all of the fellowships that are available in Rotary International. Let me just highlight a couple of these really quick. If you're into amateur radio, there is a whole group that does that. Classic cars and automobiles. There's your beer, bird watching, bowling, there's chess. Come on down here. There's diplomacy, there's doctors, there's yachting, there's wine, there's tennis, there's singles, there's scuba diving, there's golf. Now let me tell you about golf. Later on, you'll see a picture of me and one of my Rotary friends playing at, we actually played golf at Pinehurst on course number 2. And there's a picture of us standing with the Payne statue that's on hole number 2. All of that stuff that I have done in Rotary. And people say, well, that sounds good. I'm not big. If you enjoy doing golf, for example, every year there is a U.S. golf fellowship, and there's an international golf fellowship. I played golf at Pinehurst. We played golf one year at Crans, Montana in the Switzerland. And for a whole week, you are with Rotarians from around the world, having fun, fellowshipping. And guess what happens when Rotarians get around a table? It doesn't take 2 minutes and they start talking about service. They start talking about what their clubs are doing. They start talking about, well, maybe if our club joined in with that, and networking starts happening. And out of that has come exchange programs, has come all kinds of things. And so I really encourage you to do some research out there in areas that you enjoy and plug in to these, because I will tell you, these will start attracting young people and younger Rotarians to your club, because it gives you a format, it gives you the organizational structure, but it's all done within the framework of Rotary. So now you're sitting here saying, why in the world did we take the test? Here we go. Did anybody see a misspelled word? Thank you.
Did anybody see what was
a misspelled word? Okay. Are you, what did you find out what you are dominant? What is your personality? And what's number 2? The otter, okay. You're a beaver?
No, lion, but number two.
2 is a beaver, okay. And anybody else notice it? And were you strong? Where's your beaver on there? That whoever saw that misspelled word, are you high or low in the beavers? Typically when I do this training, that word, the beaverness, and here's what you need to understand. We all have every one of these personalities in us. It's just a matter of which one's more dominant. And I would suggest to you that if you took this test and you said, okay, I'm going to take it as a corporate person or wherever your job is, then go home and turn around and take it and say, I'm going to take it as a husband, and then say, well, I'm going to take this as a guy who hangs out with my friends, you'll find that it'll probably shift. Because the role we play in life makes a huge, huge difference on this. And so one of the things that happens is that people will take this test and they'll say, well, and this is the thing I hate about most of these personality tests, is that most of the time people say, oh, well, it's just, I'm an orange or I'm a green and I'm that. No, you have actually, believe it or not, all these little animals living in your life. It's just a matter of who we get to deal with on top and where the rest of them come out. So one of the things I do when I have a bunch of people and we go somewhere, especially if I got a lot of lions, I tell everybody, okay, you send the lions to bed, send the beavers to bed, and go ahead and send the golden retrievers to bed. We would like to party with all the otters. Okay, so get your otter on, let's go and have fun. Another way to think about these people is this way. If you took all 4 animals to a cabin for a weekend retreat, here's what would happen. The lion would be walking around all the time saying, I'm in charge, and this is my cabin. The otters would be saying, come on, guys, we can have some fun. I just was down at the lake, and there's a place down there. I think they've got a swing, and we can swing into the water, have all those things. Meanwhile, the golden retriever is going to be walking around the cabin going, there's got to be a nice rug in front of the fireplace somewhere for me. And the beaver is standing in the door, hands on his hips, saying, it's been 6 months since we've been up here. There is so much work that has to be done. All he wants to talk about is that he's in charge. That guy over there, he's trying to have fun all the time. For crying out loud, he wants to take a nap. We've got to do some work. Okay? So that's why. Now, some of you are saying, well, what in the world does it matter? Well, when you're building a team, when you're building a Rotary club, you have to know where your personality types are so that, number one, you can take full advantage of those strengths, and as well you can come in and shore up the weaknesses. Because if you don't, you can make some mistakes. And most importantly, you need to know them intimately enough so that you can put them in the right position and set the tone for whatever it is you're doing. Thus this.
We just went through the drive-up window. What did we get, Cooper? Daisy, what did we get at the drive-up window? No, Cooper. Let Daisy have some. No, Cooper. Daisy, where'd we go? Did we go to McDonald's? No. Daisy gets hers first. Why does Daisy get hers first? Because Cooper is just too fast.
Now, some of you thought you knew where that was going, and some of you were starting to have that poor other dog. He's poor baby. He's not getting his food. But there's a reason, isn't there? She knew her team, and she knew that if she did it the other way, there was going to be all kinds of problems. So real quick, and I don't have time to go into all the detail, but just going to give you a little snippet of what we can do with this as we start understanding it. So let's take a look, for example, for a moment, of the lion's strengths and weaknesses. So when we start thinking about these personality types, and I look at a lion who is dominant, here's what starts coming out when I look at it. Strengths, they're visionary, they're practical, they're productive, they're strong-willed, they're independent, they're decisive, they're a leader. Now, we all have that in us, so please don't get offended here. I'm just telling you these are the characteristics of the dominant personality types, but you have all of these in you. But a weakness is that you can come across cold, domineering, unemotional, self-sufficient, unforgiving, sarcastic, and cruel. So, things to think about. When I look at an otter, their strengths are they are outgoing, responsive, warm, friendly, talkative, enthusiastic, compassionate. Let me just stop there and say, I am a lion, otter, golden retriever, and trailing beaver, which creates a problem for me. The lady in the back, a really hot looking one back there, my wife, my girlfriend, she doubles as both. She is an otter, but then her number 2 is a beaver. If I didn't have that in my life, I would be totally messed up. So she keeps me on track doing that. So just thinking about how these all interplay with each other. But the weakness is they can be undisciplined, unproductive, they can exaggerate, egocentric, and unstable. So those are your extremes in those personality types. On the golden retriever side, strengths: easy, calm, easygoing, dependable, quiet, objective, diplomatic, humorous. But weakness can be selfish, stingy, procrastinating, unmotivated, indecisive, fearful worriers. And finally, beavers, their strengths are they are analytical, self-disciplined, industrious, organized, aesthetic, and sacrificing. But their weaknesses are moody, self-centered, touchy, negative, unsociable, critical, and revengeful. Now, we move to the next one real quick. So the temperament on a lion. Do it now. What's the point? The environment that they like lots of projects, awards on the walls, large calendar, office furniture arranged in a very formal way. They gain security by control. Their pace is fast and decisive. Their needs, they need a climate that responds to them. They're irritated by wasted time, unpreparedness, arguing, and blocking results. For growth, these people need to appear less critical, respect people's personal worth, develop tolerance for conflict, and pace themselves. And what we have to avoid with this group of people is attacking his or her character, telling them what to do, or presenting a win-lose scenario. I was with a great lion. I think the guy who pulls Saddam Hussein out of a hole is a lion. He does not like to hear no. And he will tell you that. What he wants to hear is yes, if. In other words, we can do this, but here's how we've got to do it. Don't say no, figure out how to do it. Otter temperament. They are trust me and lighten up. Let go of some stuff here. Their environment tends to be a little cluttered. Awards and slogans on the walls, personal pictures, they're friendly. And they gain security by flexibility. So are you now seeing how all of a sudden we're having some conflicts that just come naturally by the way we put things in order? Their pace is fast and spontaneous. Their needs is a climate that collaborates. So the last thing these guys want is a lion who doesn't need collaboration and already knows and just wants you to do it. So they get all flustered with that. They're irritated by too many facts, too much logic, boring tasks, same old approach, routine being alone, ignoring their opinions. And then for growth is to respect priorities, more logical approach, follow through, get better, organize, concentrate on the task at hand. And then finally, avoid negativism, rejection, and arguing with them. So now we jump to the golden retriever. They say, why change? Let's work together. Family pictures, slogans on the wall, personal items, relaxed, friendly. But they gain security by close relationships. So you can get a lion who's, lions and otters can have cajillion friends. These people don't have that many. They're secure more with a much smaller group of people. Their pace is slow and easy. They're a climate that processes things. And they are irritated by pushy, aggressive behavior, insincerity, being put on the spot, disrupting the status quo. So if your new leadership in this club starts saying, well, we're going to do some new things and everything, and you've never done it that way before, and you start feeling something down deep inside, somebody just woke up your golden retriever from a nap. Okay? That's the part of you that says, but we don't change things. we don't like, and we all have it. That's the interesting thing. It's just whether or not these things are dominant or not in our life. For growth, they need to take risks, delegate to others, confront, develop confidence in others, and learn to change and adapt. Avoid with them conflicts, sudden, unplanned, risky changes, overloading, and confusing. You want to watch these guys stress out? Just run in there with a brand new idea that change everything on the fly. Okay? I love our district governor. I think he is the greatest guy in the world. He is an otter on steroids. Okay? This guy can change. And so working with him, stuff was flying at me, changing at the very last minute like nobody's business. I mean, that's just the way he is. And he is great. It's going to be fun this year. He's going to have a lot of fun things. But I warned all of the presidents, I said, you need to make sure that you're covering a lot of the beaverish things. His wife, she handles all of that detail stuff because that's where her strength is. So they make a great team, but sometimes this can really have some interesting effects. And then our beavers. Do it right, prove it. A lot of times, dominant beaver personalities end up being your CFOs. Your people who end up with all the numbers and the crunching, and they're the guys, you know that personality. If you guys have a budget review, they have a question every time. It's just who they are. And it's usually the first person to ask the question are your dominant beavers. They gain security by preparation. You cannot over-prepare with these people. So imagine sticking an otter who loves everything on the fly with either Mr. or Mrs. Prepared. It can be a fun rodeo to watch, but it can have its issues. They're slow, systematic, a climate that describes. They are irritated by people who don't know what they're talking about, lack of attention to detail. So every one of you who saw the misspelled word, your beaver rose up within you and said, why didn't he get that when he put that together? The truth is we got this from somebody else, and they had made the mistake. They found it at Pat's. Somebody noticed it. It was my beaver crowd. They were like all over it. And I started to change it, and I thought, no, this is great because it's the way to kind of rock your beavers a little bit. So anyway, moving on. They don't like attention to detail, no surprises, unpredictability. They make fast decisions, tolerate conflict. They learn to compromise, adjust to change, and disorganization. Those are things that they need to work on in order to really improve, because those things really bother them. But we need to avoid criticizing, blunt personal questions, incomplete or inaccurate recommendations don't go well with these folks. So, where does this leave us? Well, one of the things that I want to have you think about for one, now I'm going to shift from the personality test, because we actually are going to be doing some retreats this year for you to bring your spouses or people to attend these retreats, and we're going to go into a lot more depth on these things and how they play out and how you organize your team. But I also want you to think in terms of how, as we get older, and I know some of you haven't realized this, but Rotary has aged. We are a lot older than we used to be, and I can tell you that when I came into Rotary as a young buck, and I look back now, I'm noticing that in a lot of the groups that I go to, a lot more gray hair, a lot of things, and we're trying to attract young people. We're not trying to shut off older people, but the mantra that you will hear around the world in the Rotary realm is, how do we get more people involved in Rotary? How do we get younger people involved? Well, part of it is to understand that as you age in life, you define success too, we'll get there. You define success differently. And so here's the fun thing. When you are 4 years old, it's not wearing your pants. When you get to be 12, it's having friends. When you get to be 16, it's having a driver's license. When you're 21, it's about getting engaged. When you're 35, success is having money. When you're 50, success is having more money. When you're 65, success is spelled V-I-A-G-R-A. That's where the word came from. At 75, success is having a driver's license. And at 80, success is having friends. You guessed it, at 85, success is not being advanced. So the truth is that we go through life, and one of the things that we're not asking us to do as aging people is to quit having fun. But what we are saying is we may need to make some recalibrations to things. I grew up in an age where, and this was really interesting to me, this year at the Rotary International Convention in Sydney, Australia, was one of the first times that a lot of the music, I went, ooh, this is my generation coming on. I mean, because for a long time we had everything back in the 50s and 60s, and we had some music this time that was in the 70s and the 80s, and it was really cool to see some of us who are in our 50s, but we started rocking out a little more because it was our traditional sound. I'm not suggesting we change your tune. I'm just suggesting you might want to change some of your words.
Eric Clapton's getting older, I'd love to change his songs like that.
When the day's begun, put some of this on, Rogaine. If you got a false spot, you wanna keep what you got, Rogaine. Your headline is decline and you shine.
Tom Petty's getting older. Tom Petty is. Don't come in my yard no more. You've ruined my lawn before. Whatever you kids are looking for.
Hey!
Don't come in my yard no more. Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Girl, to dance with you is my favorite thing. Yeah. But when I hit the floor, I really feel the pain. So I need to put on my orthopedic shoes. Yeah. I'm gonna put on my orthopedic shoes. Don't be with you. Yeah.
You're not gonna get older. Jello again. Jello. I always eat Jello. I love that chickpea thing you do. When you make lunch great, I can hardly wait. Jello. Who else is getting older, man? Like the Eagles. The Eagles getting older. This is what they're gonna sing here. On a dark country highway, cool wind in your hair, warm smell of a corn dog rising up through the air. You see a sign in the distance that says, we're open all day. And if you walk up to the entrance, it's where you hear me say, I'm a breeder in Walmart in California. Yeah, I work the door at the superstore. I hand out stickers in a Walmart in California, where my vest is blue and my hair is too.
My buddies and me were once wild and free. Now we ain't doing so great. We used to go down tear up the town, and now we're all in bed by 8. Our parties are fewer, we're sipping insured. Instead of our glass of champagne, now when we get together, we just talk about the weather. And all we ever do is complain. Cause all my friends have hip replacements, cause they slipped and fell in their garage or basement. We're old and pale, and our bones are frail. Yeah, years ago we were stealing faces. Now we spend our time having wheelchair races. Oh, all my friends have hip replacement. Yeah, but
So one of the things that we have to think about is how do we make this shift? I love hanging out with senior Rotarians. And I'll tell you why, because there is unbelievable, untapped resources available. I started Rotary when I was 21 years old. I have been in Rotary, I just turned 50 this year, so that'll tell you if you do the math. I started in 1985, and it's been an amazing journey. And one of the things that I have found over the years is how much I have learned from my fellow Rotarians. So I want you to take a look at this. These are pictures and this is my last slide. These are pictures of the opportunities I've had in those years to serve, to have fun. And I want to challenge you to find opportunities in your journey as well. That was on the Orient Express between Singapore and Bangkok, Thailand. These last 4 pictures are actually pictures that we just took on a trip down under for Rotary with just some amazing opportunities. Some of you may say, well, how do we get involved? Well, there's a couple of things. And Marlis is in the back. Please leave her your information as you go if you'd like to. But we're going to do some personality test partner retreats this year. If you're interested in those, let us know. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. In January 9th through the 18th, Marlis and I are going to be hosting a trip to Japan. And right now, we just got everything finalized last night, so it'll be $4,900 a piece. And that will include all your hotels, your transportation, your airfare, and everything. And I will give you a trip to Japan that you've never experienced before. And we're going to go to a sumo tournament. We're going to have some interaction with some Japanese Rotarians. And so you're going to have a blast. And then finally, district conference is going to be awesome next year. Hope you will come and enjoy it. Thank you so much for letting me come today. Hope you guys have a great day, and love to connect with you.
Thank you for